Hello everyone. Well, today we are going to talk about depression. What is depression? What are the symptoms for depression? How is depression triggered? What are the treatments for depression? And also we will be seeing some examples of famous celebrities. Well, let's start off. What is depression? Depression is defined by having a low mood or a loss of interest or enjoyment in most activities for a longer period of time. Depression causes feelings of sadness, grief, and can lead to a variety of emotional problems leading to the dysfunctioning of one's active system. People often misinterpret sadness and grief for depression, but they are totally different phenomena. See, when in grief, painful feelings come in waves and are intermixed with positive memories of, say, the deceased. Self-esteem is, usually maintained. Well, what triggers grief is maybe due to a death of someone close. This grief lasts for a longer time, which often gives rise to depression. But if depression, sadness, and grief coexist together for a longer period of time, then it leads to a major stage of depression. So what actually triggers depression? Well, depression can affect anyone. Even a person who appears to live in relatively idle circumstances is affected by depression. There are several factors responsible, like the biochemicals in our brain or the chemicals present in our brain. If we talk about genetics, it is transferred from person to person, from generation to generation in the family. If we talk about the personality, overwhelming stress, low esteem, environmental factors such as continuous violence, neglectance, abuse, poverty, etc. If we talk about the common factors that affect or that may be the triggers to depression is neglectance of people who don't often be socially interactive, financial crisis, family crisis, sudden flow of stress over small or little things, using alcohols and drugs, losing a job, and most importantly, loneliness. Well, how can we say if someone is depressed, or what are the symptoms of depression? You can call yourself depressed if the following are to you during most of the day and consecutively for several days. Sad mood, feeling of emptiness, feeling of hopelessness, guilt, anger and irritability, fatigue, poor concentration, unexplained body aches, and also suicidal thoughts. If you see the symptoms for a longer period of time, it is reluctant to consult a psychiatrist or psychologist for an overall evaluation. So, after all this, it comes down, can depression be treated? Well, depression is amongst the most treatable and mental disorders. Around 80 to 90% of the affected people or the depressed people eventually respond well to treatment. Medication is one such treatment. Antidepressants are used to enhance or to help modify the brain's chemistry. These medications are not sedative and are not tranquilizing, and they are also not habit forming. So the antidepressants take charge of their effects in a week or 2 weeks time, but they show their full potential in about 2 to 3 months. Psychiatrists prefer this medicine to be taken at least for 5 to 6 months. Psychotherapy, another one of the treatments, is done through talks in which psychologists try to cheer up and encourage the depressed patient. It is used for mild depression, but is also used along with the antidepressants for major issues of depression. Cognitive behavioral therapy has been found to be effective during depression. Electroconvulsive therapy, most commonly used for patients for severe major depression. As I told you before, when sadness, grief and depression is affecting you for a longer period of time, it takes you in a deeper stage of depression, or we can call it as the bipolar disorder. Apart from all this, how can we avoid being depressed? For most of the people, regular exercise helps create positive feelings and improve the mood. getting enough quality sleep or regular basis, eating healthy diet, and of course avoiding alcohol. Be cheerful every time. Be always happy, and even in the worst of the situations when you know this isn't good. Depression can be overcome with the willpower to live, and for that I have example of various celebrities who have fought depression in their lifetime. Number one, Jim Carrey, an actor and one of the history's most influential comedians, shocked a lot of people when he acknowledged himself that he had spent much of his life fighting depression. He said this in an interview with 60 Minutes. After taking antidepressants like Prozac, his willpower to overcome depression with a healthy diet and natural supplements eventually improved his mental health. People like Chris Evans, Johnny Depp, who have gone through anxiety are still cheered up. Why? Because they know that being defeated with such a disorder was not life for them, and so they fight it every single day of their life. Matthew Perry, a dear Chandler, who made viewers howl with laughter on the hit show of Friends. But while we were laughing, Perry was battling severe depression which led him to addiction issues. He even calls his time on Friends the worst and the loneliest years of his life. But then rehab centers and medication got him out of depression and addiction to drugs. J.K. Rowling, a famous author, before Harry Potter, Rowling was an unemployed single mother who spent most of his days writing in cafes, with severe depression and battling suicidal thoughts. Even in a book of Harry Potter, her suicidal thoughts gave rise to Dementors, vicious creatures that feed off the happiness of humans and wizards. But after going through the cognitive behavioral therapy, she is now healthier and happier these days. Apart from all these people, there are hundreds and thousands and millions of people who are battling depression and anxiety. For them to know, ending a life and suicidal thoughts are not the solution. But there is therapy, there is psychiatrists, there are psychologists that can help you overcome it. But the only thing that can take you out of depression is the willpower to live and to fight. That's all is needed. Thank you.